Ready?
With our strength and truth and loud voices, we rise from victimhood. It's love, it's magic, what do we call it? Sisterhood!
Hello!
Hello.
I'm Heavenli, also Hex Kid of X Kids.
My name is Mia, stage name Lizard Kid.
I'm Rose, Rose Kid.
I'm Amber, Ham Kid.
And we're talking
Arts and crafts
with Bo!
And we're having a really fun time.
Yeah.
We are the craft.
Yeah.
like the movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! We are the weirdos, mister.
Yeah. We don't take ourselves too seriously, I would say. You know? Like, we're definitely performing an art.
Yeah, we've come together to have fun.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's kind of the
Yes.
overriding purpose.
I
Absolutely.
think that's what people
Yeah.
love most.
Yes, yes. We're honing in on our skills, but it's in such a fun way.
Yeah, it's for the joy.
Yeah.
We do also kind of have like individual things that we're kind of bringing to it in terms of previous music projects that we've been in, but also previous like creative expressions in the rest of our lives. So a lot of us are visual artists. Amber has the vintage shop, if you want to talk about that a little bit more.
Talk about it!
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always considered myself kind of a, I don't know, artistic person and just like wanting to like do my own thing, and yeah, I just like went and started a vintage business.
I love that moment so much when you're like, I'm gonna open up a vintage shop.
Yeah, it just kind of happened. So yeah, I just like create a little space, and it's a safe space, and it's a great space, and it's fun to look at, and if anyone wants to, you know, just like come hang out and talk to me, it's really fun. And I don't know, I love
What's
just...
it called?
Oh, okay. It's called
These
Cell...
are good friends. Like, be specific.
Yeah, right. It's called Shallan Vintage.
What do you say?
It's beautiful.
Blam, blam.
We should write a jingle. We should write a jingle for it.
We should.
I don't know. I feel like it's really important for like people like us to occupy space and hold space for other people that need it and to feel comfortable. That was my whole motivation for wanting to start a business. And it's really cool because we get to do that at shows all the time. Like, we're coming together as bands and taking over a space, and, you know, people most of the time are able to feel safe, and we want to definitely cultivate that. So yeah, I feel like my life is just like meshed all together in this like really cool way where it's seamless, and that's what I've always wanted. And my sisters help me with that every day. So cool.
Me.
Miss.
What
do you do?
I am a bartender at a music venue, which is cool, and I also am a sex worker. I don't know, I feel like being in the band and also being a sex worker is like really empowering because I can sing about like how we get really turned away from society, and also I can be there for other women that, or not even just women, trans, everyone who are sex workers, especially in like the climate, being able to like go to a show and be like, oh my god, this person like makes art and it's something that like is relevant to me. And so it's really important, I think, with just our like involvement together, creating like a space for other people to feel like safe, and that, I don't know what else to say about that.
We need to take up space.
Yeah, it's,
That's kind of the,
you know,
That's the
repeating
whole
theme.
message.
yeah. And I feel like it's really funny to see the scene and how it's developed because there's so much more like femme presence in it, and it's like becoming so like just more like connected, as opposed to when I used to go to shows when I was growing up and I would come and visit here and then be in the scene and see it kind of go from like very male dominated and very like, if a girl was dressing provocative, like it was like, ugh, she's a slut. And I'm just like, yes, we are, and we're here. So deal with it.
Ain't nothing punk about the boys club.
Yes.
That was real.
Yes.
Hello.
Are you talking about yourself?
Oh yeah.
you're talking about yourself.
Here's that what I'm doing? Okay, I'm
Yeah.
talking about my...
Yourself, your creative life, your professional life,
Yes.
whatever
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
share. Yeah.
Okay, I probably can't say the name of the clinic, but I'll just say
Yeah.
that I am the bassist of this band. And this is my art. It's my baby. And I live for this. This is everything. X-Kids is everything. It's my DNA. And I share it with these fabulous, powerful women. And we are magic. When we get together, it's fucking magic. I feel very empowered, and this is a delicious cider. So, in my financial life, I work for a clinic that I manage in North Portland. It's naturopathic indigenous medicine, and it's dope. I mean, music is everywhere, and I like to have people feel it when I'm there too. But X-Kids, that's what I do. That's who I is.
Hell yeah, I'm fucking straight. Yep.
Rose.
Okay, I'm
Rose.
Rose. My name is Rose. I play guitar in X-Kids, and this has been kind of... I feel like building up towards having a project like this musically has been kind of a project for a really long time. Heavenli and I used to be in a band together years ago, and there were some issues with that we have thankfully like overcome, and in terms of being able to sort of fully work within our own artistic paradigm. In addition to making music, I'm also a visual artist, and I do like office admin faculty supports at an art school, and I also work as an art appraiser, so kind of like figuring out how expensive art should be for the worlds of either like insurance or taxes or different things like that, which is not exactly the direction I predicted my life was going in, but I guess kind of like a big inspiration for me is this musician and artist Billy Childish from England, who kind of combines both the world of visual art and the world of kind of like auditory, writing, poetry, music. So kind of trying to have like feet, you know, I'd only have two, but like if I were like a cat or something, having multiple feet in multiple worlds is something that I find very fulfilling.
You are also a cat.
Definite.
Yeah.
Definite.
Yeah.
Definite.
Definite.
I've lived among the cat tribe for long enough that they have accepted me as one of their kind.
Oh, man. Hey.
Put that in there.
I really love thinking about how, like, the taking of space. Like,
Yes.
we're here to
Yes.
occupy,
Right.
and we do it in so many different ways.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a bunch of different sectors covered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do all have our very own individual vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I would say. Should
Each
we all
other?
say you?
Each other's ideas?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, I am this, you are that, you are that.
Oh, I like it.
Let's do it.
Well, okay, first
Yes.
we could also say like, well, I'm Ham Kid.
Mhm.
I'm the drummer of X Kids. And then
Yeah.
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 And
And
then
your
like your
vibe.
what's my
perspective.
what's my
and we
vibe?
can all, like,
What's
Yeah.
my vibe?
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
chime in
yeah.
on the other guys'
Okay.
vibe.
Name
do
that vibe.
Cool, I got it. Cool cucumber-ist. Coolest cucumber.
Like the bedrock upon which we all like
Okay.
rely and maintain.
Also, this is gonna make me cry.
Oh, we're here to cry.
If we
Yeah.
do this, okay.
The drumming
Crying
queen
on camera.
warrior.
Absolutely.
Oh.
My God.
Oh.
And also, you pose as a really big safety net for me when I'm like fronting. Because I'm the lead singer, but we all sing.
I'm gonna cry too.
But when I have like weird fright on stage, or like I feel like kind of uncertain of myself, I know that I can like turn around and make some weird face at Ham, and you'll be like, right? You're like, I know, baby, I'm doing it too. I'm freaking out, maybe, but we're laughing, and it's gonna be fine. So.
Yeah, kind of both a source of like gravity, but also levity. So like you keep us all very grounded, but also
That's
very
what I
like
was gonna
chill.
say. A really
Yeah.
great channeler of flow.
Yeah.
Such a great channeler of flow.
I love you. Thank you so much.
Flush. Be the ball, Danny.
Dodgeball.
Caddyshack.
Oh. All right.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
You,
it.
yeah, you.
Do it.
I'm Hicks kid. I'm singy. I just said that. Say it again. Cool.
Say it again.
Say it again.
Say you're the motherfucking singer.
I'm the motherfucking singer. I just like to roll around on stage and try to like get the crowd going as much as possible. That's like really important to me. Is like
You're the singer.
energy.
You're so good
We
at like
needed.
hyping everybody.
Yes.
Just like raising everybody's energy level and getting everybody to dance and getting everybody out of their shell. Like just bringing people to the party.
I was
Your-
gonna say,
yeah.
as far as like communications go and just overall like liveliness, like you're on point.
Yeah.
And also always on point with inspirational outfits.
Yes. The outfit queen.
The outfit queen!
Cannot be said.
I have a closet and a clothing rack. It's a problem.
It's incredible.
Not to mention
love
what's on
it
my floor. I
My
don't know.
strange addiction.
And your laugh always gets my laugh.
Oh my god! Nobody can take me out of whatever I'm experiencing with a single sound, and that is only you.
That is.
Fuck! Oh, am I allowed to say bad words?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
We're gonna be scoring up a
That's what I was
score.
like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Fucking a giant blue streak. Yeah. Yeah.
With a single sound, you can harness energy with that.
That's true.
I think that's something you're learning a lot, like how to harness energy, and I'm seeing it implemented in the most powerful way with the most threatening of audiences or whatever it may be. And you're like, we are doing this thing and we are moving forward as warriors, and we do it.
And you stand your ground.
It's part of having anxiety. It's like fight or flight mode, you know?
Word.
I'm also an extreme empath.
Yeah.
Extreme MF.
Cancer, cancer, cancer to my moon.
Oh fuck.
What are
I feel like I have to hide.
Oh,
Do
Like,
it!
I got shy.
It's cooler.
It's cooler this way.
It's so much cooler.
I'm Lizard Kid and I'm the bassist of this band, and I feel that I'm the riff mistress.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah,
Oh.
mistress of the riff.
Yeah.
Ah, just the groover, man.
The rocker, to quote
Mick
my
Jagger.
favorite of Thin Lizzy.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm a rocker.
You're a rocker. Yeah.
Truly channels like guttural
Just like elemental
Laugh
energy.
and
into, yeah.
like psychotic, primal womanhood.
Yeah, you steal people's souls just by looking and
Yeah.
laughing. It's like that
Yes.
scene in like The Little Mermaid where Ursula takes Ariel's voice, but in a much more positive way.
Seductress.
Right, like taking like the
Seductress.
energy that's out
She
there
don't like
and then
scary
like
movies.
amplifying it into the most like powerful and potent
Yes.
and concentrated direction
Concentrated.
that it can go into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like feel like it's because of what you do like has helped me become like a better vocalist. 'Cause honestly, harmonies, I was like, I don't know shit about this. I just think I'm right. And then you're like, you're wrong. And I was like,
It's
no, but I'm right. And then I like started listening to like things that we had recorded like when we were just in that little practice space and where we are now, and I was like, whew.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. It's
Okay.
incredible.
Yeah, like the wealth of sort of like musical knowledge just on like a technical level that you bring is definitely,
Absolutely.
especially because I feel like the rest of us are all coming from a much more kind of self-taught place.
Yes.
Like, you're the one who's kind of anchoring us into like the tradition and like the historical knowledge and yeah, that's really wonderful.
And it's cool. Dude,
Yeah.
I played classical xylophone. I'm with you. I understand. But I am a...
Dude, I'm a better drummer because of you. Better drummer, for sure. Better drummer because of this band.
Yeah.
we
I
all
think that
you
we're all
know.
better women because of this band.
Yes, exactly.
100%.
Yeah, look at you. Just saying that.
Gross.
Okay, yes.
There she is.
I play guitar. I am everybody's 800-year-old grandmother who has been entombed away from popular culture for a very long time. I don't know. I am like deeply devoted to punk as a lifestyle and musical style, and I also know a lot about Russia. And those are my things.
So much
True.
about Russia!
Man.
I was not expecting
She's
that.
putting this like bizarre Russian new wave
Oh,
band on
Kino.
the way here.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
tell
Sorry,
us the story that you told about his
Oh,
choir class.
so
Mysterious death.
Kino is this really incredible Russian band
Oh,
from the
shit.
80s, and they're fronted by this enormously charismatic person named Viktor Tsoi, and he died in a mysterious car accident where only one wheel was ever found of the vehicle, and so there's kind of a mythology built up around him similar to Elvis in the United States, where everybody is like, Tsoi živ, Viktor Tsoi is still alive. So if you go to like punk bars in St. Petersburg, you'll see that graffiti on the bathrooms quite a bit, but they're really wonderful. I also really like Grazdanskaya Oborona, which could be abbreviated to Grob, which means coffin. They're like punk from Siberia, so they're more hardcore than anyone will ever be.
Because Siberia.
Because it's Siberia,
The fact that
yeah.
you stayed
No
in
shit.
Siberia, you're like,
Yeah.
Speaking of coffins, you also studied grades.
Oh, that's true.
Oh
I
my
did,
God.
yeah.
Cemeteries.
My preschool adjoined the playground of my preschool adjoined the graveyard, like the oldest cemetery in my hometown, the Pioneer one, which I think explains a lot about like how I am today. And then when I was in college, I did a thesis on Russian American like immigrant traditions of gravestone design. So I visited a lot of like emigre cemeteries on the West Coast from different periods of emigration, like right after the communist revolution, and then also kind of later like different marginalized religious sects coming here, and how those traditions are kind of maintained in kind of connectivity with Russia visually as ways of kind of making themselves distinct from standard American tombstone design. That's a lot of my like academic shit. And I'm a printmaker, and I think that's about me summed up.
To the vibe.
I always have this image of you as a child, just like with, I don't know, your Walkman, and for some reason I picture it being a yellow Walkman.
I do have a yellow Walkman, actually. I used to have a gray one, but I had one that was yellow for a while until it started playing everything double time.
And you're just
Whoa.
like, you're listening to The Clash, and you're
Yes.
just like walking down your street. I think about that sometimes, and
It's
it
very
warms
accurate.
my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what I see. That's so real.
With like Spanish bombs playing in the
love it.
background.
Yeah.
Oh, that is something
Rose is
I
like-
see it.
I feel everyone's like organized in this band. I'm not gonna say that.
Oh.
I'm the least organized.
Rose is where it's at.
Mama
This is where
Rose.
it's at.
Mama Rose.
She takes care of our money.
Thank you.
There was a question.
Make sure you get your money.
There was a question. Who manages the finances
I was
of
gonna be
the
like, who,
band?
like,
And I was like,
manages
Rose, boom.
Yeah.
And she's
Done.
so on top of the communication.
Secretary.
It's so good.
No, secretary.
Secretary of
Treasurer?
Trade. Treasurer, secretary.
Treasury?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
I'm terrible
band.
with money
So
and all
good.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And
We
this one just
try.
keeps it- They just
We try.
communication shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
It works pretty
So
well.
good.
I did have one scary moment where I realized that I had a recurring donation set up out of my PayPal, and so I accidentally donated $30 of the band fund to vulnerable trans people in the Bay Area.
coming
And
out
I was
now.
like,
We're
okay.
okay with
That's
that.
Coming out now.
I paid it back, but I was like, oh no.
Did that happen just naturally that you guys kind of fit into those roles? So you being kind of the communications, finance, did it?
I get, yeah.
I feel like it did.
Did
It
you ever
did.
say,
Yeah.
you're
I
doing
mean,
this?
We talk about it sometimes,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you
Splitting
know,
it up.
we've had like conversations, you know, but I don't know. I feel like it just all kind of
Yeah.
fit into place.
Right.
I think, yeah, the financial thing I think happened just because I had a PayPal account and had done like, I had set up band camps for previous bands that I'd been in, so I knew how to kind of do like the back end of that, all of that. And it just kind of made sense because I was like, aside from the recurring donation, I didn't have anything else that was coming out of my PayPal at that time, so it was like, it'll all be in one place. It'll be easy to like look at the itemized thing of when we're getting people buying our downloads or whatever.
We sometimes talk about like equitable sharing
Yeah.
of communication, but otherwise, yes.
I'm terrible at keeping
Yeah.
track of Instagram. I do not look at Instagram messages like hardly at all.
I feel like
because
we're
the
like
rest
front
of you are
lines
like, yeah.
of
Totally.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm bad at everything, really,
This
except
one
for
doesn't use
driving a
much social
van.
media.
You're right.
Oh yeah, the driving the van is like
That's this is the chauffeur.
yeah,
That's totally
the road dog.
The
Also,
heavy lifting.
That van is
Yeah.
huge, and I've never seen somebody parallel park it so perfectly.
Oh my
It's so
gosh, what a
graceful.
skill.
It's like a work of art every time. It's gorgeous.
I love it.
I'm curious how you met. Like how, and was it to initiate this band, or did you meet and just befriended each other?
A
And
combination
then
of all of the above, I think.
big questions.
Yeah.
Like,
The universe
Yeah.
was at play.
It was big time. Yeah.
Rose and I met because we were in the band Daddy Addy.
Yeah.
Well,
Before that, we met because we
No,
were always
you're
like,
right.
we met because we were just always going fucking nuts at shows.
true. That is
And I
real.
would just like so. For viewers who are outside of Portland, there used to be this punk bar called East End, which unfortunately caught fire with a bunch of my drawings inside of it. But before it caught
I
fire,
didn't know that.
the drawings were all fine, which is a miracle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
the whole place burned to the ground.
The whole,
The
except for
drawings.
my drawings, I kept them.
That's amazing.
But our friends would play there all the time, and this was during kind of, I feel like, a low point of sort of women's participation in music in Portland, so it was definitely a lot of, like, our dude friends who would be in bands, and we would just always be, like, right in the front, being like, yeah!
We were always in the front, just
Yeah.
like wilding out.
And that's how we got to be pals, just kind of like, we're on the same level energetically here. And I also, at the time, I was bitching on Tumblr a whole lot, because this was, like, my last year of college, and nobody I was in college with wanted to start a rock band with me because we were all working on our theses. And so the whole time I was like, I am dying to be in a band, And Heavenli noticed, and so did one of our other mutual friends who actually wound up being not that great of a bandmate.
Dark.
Yeah.
Dark
We were in the
side.
band for a while. It broke up, it was bad, and then we became friends again at a negative scanner show at the No.
Reconnected. And then I met this wild one at, it was at
Oaks Park Roller
Oaks
Rink.
Park Roller Rink! We were at a
That's
friend's
beautiful.
birthday, and we were roller skating, and I, like, saw me, and I was like, whoa.
Oh yeah, and then after that we were like at
Doesn't
Vintage.
see Mia and is like,
That's
whoa.
true. Exactly.
I
Just like the
really
beacon.
I had a crush on Mia, and I also wanted to be her
Whoa.
best friend.
Yeah, same.
Is what, how it
That's the
felt.
same, and it's still true. Still true today.
I love it.
And yeah, we met there, and then
I was like, hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Do you want to start a band? And
we met up at
So-
Beulah Land.
yeah, we met up at Beulah Land.
I got a
That's great.
frosé.
Yeah, rosés are the shit. I want
Yeah.
one right now. Wow. Okay.
And then I had met Amber like years before all of this happened.
I had just moved to Portland, and I went and saw Dottie Addie at the old no.
Yeah.
No.
And I was like smitten. And I was like, you know, kind of playing drums and just like wanting to do anything, you know, and I'm just so inspired by y'all. And I just like straight up went up to you and was like, what's up?
Yeah. And I remember thinking at the time, like, I'm so mad that I'm already in a band with a drummer. Because I need to be in a different band, but I was in 2 bands
Years
at the time.
later.
Yeah, years later. I was like, I remember I met this amazing person and she
Yeah.
plays drums.
So Rose said that when we were at, or like, we had like a little jammy session and we're thinking
Yeah.
about drummers, and then we brought up Amber. I
Yeah.
messaged you on Facebook first. I was
Yeah.
like,
You did.
I
And
was like, what's it?
honestly, like, I had been just like,
Waiting.
oh, I was like putting out all the feels. I was like practicing and just like, you know, like putting it out there. Like, I just want to be in a femme band so badly. And then I like get this message on Facebook and I'm just like, what is happening? Magic!
Yeah, it's like the law of attraction in action
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, I got the message and I went and practiced with y'all because
Yeah.
you were out of town.
Yeah.
And it
our
was
jam.
it was
great.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was it.
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
We
We
that
just
was-
kept going.
We played our
So-
first show in March of 2018
Yes.
At the alleyway.
Mm.
That
It's
was
crazy.
so fun.
with Needles and Pins from Canada. They're a wonderful band.
God, yeah, they really are, and we had such a good time,
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
and
Yeah.
we've just like been doing it
Yeah.
ever since then.
Yeah.
Feels
I remember how
good.
nervous I was.
Same.
Oh,
my
man.
That
god.
was wild.
I drank like 3 drinks. Macy of Needles and Pins like could tell how like dehydrated. Well, I don't know. I like wasn't dehydrated, but then playing and being nervous, I just like pounded down. So she like came over and was like, she was like if I was in like the ring corner,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like coming in for like a.
She's like toweling
Yes,
you off
she
and
was
like
telling me and like handing me drinks. You're doing so good. Oh,
Keep it up, champ.
yeah, it felt really nice.
We have this friend who had seen my old band where I was just singing and not having to play any instruments, and she came up
Sloppy
while
kisses.
I was. Oh yeah.
Sloppy kisses.
She came up while I was setting up and was like, "Oh wait, so you're playing guitar and singing at the same time?" And I was like, "Yeah," just like very cheerfully. She said, "You're fucked." It's like, and it was
Amazing.
intended in like a very kind of kind, lighthearted way. Like definitely
Of
not like a.
course.
um,
Of course.
She wouldn't have said it if she weren't confident that I could do it, and I knew that and was like, "Yes." Here I am.
I love that.
Will you educate us all, or whoever's listening, about what is punk?
Oh man.
Hell.
Because I feel like that's part of the why.
Also,
it's a big
like,
why. I mean,
yeah,
you've
actually,
already
yeah,
expressed
What
that.
is
Yeah.
punk now?
Yeah.
For the now.
Oh, I think it might be.
Drew!
Yes.
An answer about punk that has always really resonated to me is from a Joe Strummer interview where he said that it's demonstrating your manners and your values to the people that are around you and not allowing those things to be dictated by external forces or tradition that no longer applies. And that's something that I've always felt really strongly about, kind of why I'm drawn to it. The notion that you don't need permission from kind of the broader world to do what it is that you're doing. That's something that's definitely always really appealed to me. As someone who's kind of been operating like outside of mainstream this sounds like really pretentious because like I have a very mainstream education and things like that, but like as someone who's been operating in terms of kind of out of the norm of like art making and music making, in terms of kind of bringing my own knowledge base that I have built up in my own ways and being able to share that with other people and kind of giving like everybody around me a leg up. I think those are kind of the important things for me about punk, both historically and now.
Hell yeah. I don't know, like,
Everything's fine.
I definitely found punk a little bit later, and it was just like something that everyone's just like nice, and you know, I feel like punk is just about like being like chill to the people who like share your values, and you know, it's like standing up for what's right and like challenging things.
Pause real quick for this one. Will you women join them? I'm gonna move the camera. All four of you can be on the that really cute. Let's see if I could do this.
Ah, my jewel!
My jewel!
Oh,
my jewel!
My jewel!
Come here.
What is punk today, to me, is about unity, and is always going to be about unity. I think that the moral arc of the universe, MLK, 100%, right. It's bending towards justice, it's bending towards unity. That's where we're headed, and I think that people participating in the punk community are working toward that. If you're working with right action, then you're working towards that. About peacefulness and unity. And there's this Youth Brigade song that I think is best covered by Neighborhood Brats. What? Called Break Down the Walls. And it's about destroying these things that hold us apart, that make us separate, but we're all together. And we have to work together.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the punk scene in Hawaii on a small island, Waia'u, and I went to my first punk show when I was 12, and I came from like a pretty broken home, so I didn't really have a sense of community, and going to like my first punk show and being around like other punk kids and people that like were going through a lot of the same things and just like were completely non-judgmental and just like open arms, like, what's up, we're gonna go dance around and like get wild and not judge each other for being whatever we are. And I think punk to me is, it's always creating community and always fixing things, like, and always trying to improve on what has been like a negative thing. It's always like, okay, if this is something that affects this community, we need to like work towards it. And it's like, I mean, yeah, you could say like punk is not giving a fuck, but honestly I think it's the most caring community.
Yeah. Giving a fuck very, very deeply, but like about the right things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not about like status
Yes.
or
Yeah. Totally.
That's what I think our band is, a small biosphere of. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Holding each other up and with so much love
Yes.
and caring.
Dude, yeah. I just want to like project all the like, just like be yourself because we got you vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much space. Like, I feel like so many people get so freaked out about the world being sort of a zero-sum game when it completely is not. Like, there's infinite space and attention and love for, like, whatever expression of yourself that you want to bring forth. And it can get so, like, it's not in any of our interests to be divided against each other. But it's very much in the interest of, like, the ruling classes or whatever.
Sure.
To kind of... And this is something that I feel like a lot, in terms of having been kind of like a woman in punk for a long time, in terms of the ways that people will talk about like, oh, suddenly feminist punk is very trendy, and like, how do you feel about kind of with all the other girls in the scene now? And it just seems like those questions are always coming from this idea of really limited space available, when in fact, like, it's boundless.
They want us to fight, and they
Yeah.
want us to be against each other.
Yes.
Right.
But the entire idea is for us to band together and surmount those things.
Yes,
Exactly.
and
We
like
go beyond that.
Right.
this
Right.
whole time, it's only been like, you know, you like watch these bands like growing up, and like you watch these bands like in the scene, and you're just like, whoa, like that is like a person that I identify with.
Right.
Like I
Right.
can do this too,
Right.
and it's just pure inspiration
Right.
and pure just like lifting each other up.
Yeah.
And
It's
those-
incredible.
Those women, like, exceed the punk world to beyond into things like from our rooted like Spice Girls and TLC,
Yes!
and Destiny's Child,
Hell yeah.
and all of those icons that were like so massive, you know?
Yeah.
You go from small punk sphere to massive world stage. They were there too, and they were calling to us then.
I mean, I want to like shout out to Patty, Judy, and the Dirt from Hawaii, because Doug, who would wear a drag bikini with like water balloons in their breasts and would chuck it at the crowd with like relentlessly and most amazing front person that has inspired me. Makes zines, advocates for sex workers, fucking amazing. I remember loving seeing the whole like show because Patty Judy would just be dragging boys, like little punk boys, into the bathroom and just like fucking freaking out, and I was just like, oh my god, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to be that.
Yeah.
And it was cool being like 13 years old, seeing this in my small island, and like being like, fuck yeah, like punk. It's fucking punk.
You women really love each other.
We do.
Yes.
That's a gift. I feel like a lot of folks make bands either purely for business or for the music, which is also in and of itself enough. But what a gift that you really like each other.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because that
honestly,
doesn't always work out like that.
Yeah.
I joined this band and I had never felt anything like this before. I just, it's new and incredible, and I'm just holding it so dearly. I just want to keep it going.
It
Yeah.
is so special. It is its own creature and living being. It's a living entity, and how what we bring to it, which is so much caring and energy.
Caring, communication, love. It's all, and like understanding, like taking space and being like, all right.
It allows us to grow as humans and develop as women and be better 100% every day
Absolutely.
because of the love that we give each other.
Right.
Like, I know this isn't every romantic comedy you may have ever seen, but it's true. The things that are possible when 2 people love each other, wow. But when 4 people love each other, wow. We can't be stopped. We cannot be stopped. It feels so powerful.
Yes.
It's medicinal. It feels so good. Like, even when we're so tired, the end of the week,
Yeah.
The best
feels so
part
good.
of waking up
is X-Kids in your cup.
Yeah, we practice on Fridays, which is normally when I'm kind of like the most fried from having to
Fried
send so
day.
many emails reminding people of things that are already on Google Calendar, for example. But just being able to kind of, come home from all of that and set it all aside and then take this time where we're creating together is just, it's so reinvigorating and so,
It's always good.
yeah,
It's always so good.
fun to me than going to shows is playing
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, even when I like don't believe it, I'm like, oh, I got practice later.
I'm so tired. I need to eat
And
some
then I'm like,
protein. Yeah.
and then by the end of it, we're like, oh, that was amazing.
Oh, fuck yeah!
And that's like mental health in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just like, I
Exactly.
don't want to do that thing that's gonna like make me feel 10 times
Right.
better later.
Yeah. And then you do, and you're like, oh.
Oh,
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
that was good.
And that keeps it going.
Yeah.
What is the most challenging aspect of that kind of weekly preparation?
You
For some
know,
of you, is it technical? Others, is it energy or social? Or
I think that one thing we've all had to face surmounting is constructive criticism. How to work with
yeah.
constructive criticism.
Yes.
to
Yeah.
give it and to
Absolutely.
receive
How to
it.
give it and how to receive it.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
how to
Like-
receive it
Yeah.
gracefully without not, and this is like something I particularly struggle with, without getting like really defensive and anxious.
Yes, me too.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how I felt. Like
Yeah.
at the beginning, is like I was like,
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
fuck that.
And
like,
also giving it.
Yeah, how to give it in ways that
Giving
are like
it gracefully.
direct but loving, and
I've
like,
had to
actually,
do a little work with
like,
tact.
actually addressing
learning
like, the issue
what the
rather
hell
than
is
I
sort of
think it's
dancing
still
around
like
it,
a
yeah.
learning thing too. Honestly,
It
like,
is.
I mean,
Yes.
it's gonna over time, and it's always gonna be something that you have to work on.
Totally. But that's, I don't know, that's
I
relationships.
feel like
Right,
after
that's just
after
being
it
around
happens, I
people,
feel like
absolutely.
closer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Yes.
like okay,
Yeah.
we went through that, which is fine. We had some like emotional things, like
Right.
dealing with like receiving it, but it also is like okay, well,
We're
I feel
learning
closer
more about
because
each
it's
other.
exactly.
It's
Right.
very much a mirror of all of the times in your life where someone has said you're bad, and
Right.
you come to it with this attitude like, you're wrong.
Yes,
Right.
And so
totally.
we have to face those kind of like past traumas,
Yes.
and we see our own reactions
Yes.
in each other.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and-
like, what? Like, we're here because we rebelled against society.
Exactly, right. Like,
You
there's
know,
so many,
like-
yeah. It's so wild realizing, like, I have come into punk partly because of rejecting the kinds of structures that would be kind of giving, I don't know, like, very restrictive feedback, and kind of realizing, like, this is not that space, and, like, I don't know.
How to
Reclaiming
distinguish
that.
those.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like mastering our shit.
right.
And like, yeah, like supporting each other, because
Right.
that's all we're really doing is just like supporting each other and like
Yeah.
being better and better. And if it's because we want to like send this message
Right.
out to the world,
Yes.
you know, like
Yeah,
we want
like
to
we-
send
yeah,
it out in
we
the
have-
best way
right.
possible.
We
Yeah.
have so much that we want to share, and we want to make sure that
Yes.
we're sharing it in the most, like, effective way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and it feels good to just
Yes.
like
Absolutely.
grind it.
Yeah.
When we do the infinite loop, it's like I
Yes.
feel like
Oh, we do
there's
it.
a little bit of
Oh.
resistance from whoever's like, can we do the infinite loop?
Right.
And then we do the infinite loop,
And it
then
makes
it's like-
it so much better.
to explain the infinite loop.
Yeah. It's when we'll just play one part of a song forever.
Yeah.
Until whatever part of it is difficult for, like, whichever one of us is learning it becomes kind of more
intuitive.
smoothed out.
Or
I'll
yeah,
never
more
forget.
comfortable.
Nothing that you can say. Well, maybe sit down and obey.
Yeah.
Like I remember you would do that. I remember like in like that parking lot. It was like the apartments behind Blackwater. And I
Yeah.
was
Oh,
just,
right,
like,
right.
trying to get the fucking we hate you. And I was just like,
Yeah,
like
using it over and over
That's
and
how
over.
I feel
Harmony.
anytime I
It
ever
helps,
need
though,
to play a
honestly.
bass line and sing
Yeah.
at the same time. I have to do the infinite
Yeah.
loop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Like
the best way.
my hemispheres don't want to do it,
Yes.
so we have to do it
Yes.
a
maybe I should be
1,000
telling your
times.
secrets.
I know.
Is it too vulnerable
thing,
to
I don't
ask a piece that you've received, like a piece of that might be too vulnerable?
Wait, what was the
I
question?
do want to talk about it. I
Yeah.
have to pee, and I don't know where I'm going to
There-
do that. So I might have to, like, run
You
off
might have
and
to
do
be
a
this.
squat?
creative about it.
Yeah, I'm going to be creative. I'm just going to sprint off and find it.
I'm gonna drool about it.
What was the question?
Good luck.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Oh,
A
it's
piece-
not too vulnerable. A piece
Constructive
criticism that a bandmate has offered that in the moment you either felt destroyed by it or you felt defensive towards it.
Okay.
But then after like
I have
digesting
that.
it, you're like, okay.
Framing criticism in a way, like, at least for me, it's so much more helpful to have something framed in a way that's, like, really direct. And it's so interesting in some terms of sometimes we'll go so far to sort of respecting one of those feelings that we'll kind of almost, like, backdoor into maybe not quite, like, being as straightforward with each other as we could be, just out of a desire to kind of avoid being hurtful. And that's something that, like, I definitely have a hard time both doing and also receiving. It can be really rough to hear someone say, like, straight up, like, this is a problem that you repeatedly have in a way that you're playing something. But I think also having it kind of framed as, like an indirect take on that can be kind of like, well, what is the sort of, like, deeper message that you're trying to convey? And, you know, what is it that you're kind of not saying that you're wanting to? And how can we kind of, like, get to that a little bit more directly, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's I think still kind of like it's definitely a learning process for me, and I think kind of
Oh,
for
me
all
too.
of us,
Yes.
for sure.
It's hard to bring something up. You
Yeah.
know, like you're bringing something up to the surface,
Yeah.
and like you've been thinking about it in your head. You know, you've been like talking about it, and then it's like, okay, like we're like coming to this place. We don't know what's gonna happen. You know, like
Yeah.
we've maybe like perceived, you know, or you know, pre-thought of like what's gonna happen, and then.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of us are like really receptive to each other and like what each other needs, and you know, we're just trying.
Yeah.
You know.
I've had to do a lot of work on tact, and that is a lifelong effort. What is that? What's diplomacy? I don't know. I mean, I'm trying, and then I come at something, and then, you know, it may sound one way or another, but if it gets misconstrued, we all work together to
Yeah.
re-understand.
Yep.
I think we're definitely all operating from a place of like assuming the best intentions in each other all the time.
Yeah.
Of our personal lives, we've had a lot to sort of face emotionally, relationship, love, work, life.
I want to say, like, out of all of like the emotional strides I've been through, though, I will say that this band is the most important one for me to work towards and, like, you know, become a better nurturer and become, like, more understanding and, like, just, like, continue being there, because this is, like, in my life, this is the most important thing to me. Like, I could give a damn about anything else.
We put so much time and energy and love and care into this, and I think like it's absolutely paid dividends. Not to like use the language of capitalism to talk about such emotional things, but like I you know, in previous kind of like creative projects that I've been in, it hasn't always been like, you know, everybody approaching it with the same level of investment, and so you can get really kind of burned putting a lot of time and love and creativity and energy on the line and not having kind of your collaborators like coming through with that in their own way. And so I think even kind of when we do have sort of like thorny issues that we have to talk about amongst ourselves, like we're all like it's coming up because we care so much, and it's coming up because like we're all so invested in kind of doing this in the best way that we can.
Right.
Yeah, we're not just letting it go.
Right.
We're not letting this thing go.
No, absolutely
Yeah.
Not happening.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We really are. We are each a limb to this being, and it cannot be replaced.
Yeah.
Ain't got no social diploma?
And no social diploma.
Ain't got no diploma in your social coma.
Nah, we don't want the shit.
We don't believe in it.
Not gonna be your fan.
Take a stand. Ask us!
Anyways, what is something you've changed your mind about recently?
In what context?
It could be anything.
Any
It
realm?
could be it could be something like my zucchini pickles are better than cucumber pickles, or it could be I read a little bit more about blah 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 topic and realized I was on the wrong side of it.
Got it.
You're there.
When I was in my early 20s, I watched American Psycho and couldn't handle the level of misogyny and not sit back and just fucking watch it. It's just grossed out by that. Horrific. What? And then I watched it recently, and thought, whoa, this movie's actually about that. That's what it's about. It's about, if we're gonna be misogynists, if we're gonna be hating women, why not murder them? Just so fucked up.
Yeah.
So fucked up. It's dark. Still don't like it. Still don't recommend it. 2 thumbs down. But good work, Mary Herron and Guinevere Turner,
Yes.
for taking that source material from...
Bret Easton Ellis. We hate him.
That's what I changed my mind about recently. What'd you have to change your mind about recently?
Fucking no.
I decided that I'm just gonna wake up earlier now, and I've been doing it.
Yeah.
And I literally I just changed my mind about it,
Oh.
and I've been waking up at like 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
I was like 9?
I'm like
800
800 years away from that level of maturity.
Well, I used to wake up at 9. I own a business, and so waking up early feels vital to me.
Yes.
And it's been something I've been struggling with for a long time, but I realized that I just need to like change my mind about how I feel about it, because I didn't always feel good about it, you know. Like 7 is so early, 8 is so early, 6 is so early. The other day I woke up at 6. I got like real ambitious. But I feel like 7's like a good, you know.
Yeah. No.
I remember what I changed my mind about. Okay. This is not that interesting. I changed my mind about feeling guilty about watching garbage television. I love reality television. Big fan of The Simple Life. Ooh, free on YouTube. Love it.
Oh.
I love everything terrible. I'm watching one right now called The Yummy Mummies about Australian pregnant mothers that are god awful. And they're terrible humans. Absolutely terrible. But I'm just like, you're a yummy mummy? And I'm like, yes, you are. And I love it. And I used to feel guilty about like taking time to myself and laying in bed and watching fucking mind-numbing, gross television. I feel good about it. I'm like, this is great. I love
Flavor
this
of
shit.
love.
Flavor of love.
Rock
I
of
love
love.
you. Rock of
Oh God.
love. Big fan of rock of love.
Please. It's actually.
It's actual poison.
I will also counteract that. I mean, I'll like spend a whole day doing that. The next day I will read a book.
Beyonce.
I will do it. Beyonce or work on a song or something. I don't know.
Therapy.
Yeah.
But
therapy.
I
Balance.
find reality television to be quite therapeutic in a mind-poisoning way.
So yeah. Can I actually ask about a question that we haven't talked about yet?
Yes.
The
Yes.
thing that we wish people talked about more
Yes.
in our scene,
Yes.
but don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have
Things
two
that
mind
aren't-
change things, but we can also loop back to those.
Mind
Yeah.
change.
Do the mind change
Okay,
before
the
we do
mind change.
music.
Oh, sure,
I would love that.
Okay.
Do the mind
I would
change.
love that. Do
Okay,
the mind
I
change.
have two things.
Mind change!
I know. It's like
Mind change!
Two things. One thing. I feel like I've kind of changed my attitude a little bit towards taking care of my physical body, because I feel like I kind of grew up with a really weird relationship to it in terms of being like extremely focused on sort of like the development of my mind, and then having a lot of kind of influences around me that were like very, very disordered about kind of attitudes towards physical bod, and kind of thinking of like exercise as sort of like a punishment for like the sins of having a body that was a particular way, rather than as something that's kind of like enjoyable and good for its own sake.
yeah.
And so getting into a point where like I'm actually able to do yoga without it just kind of igniting this like horrifying shame spiral about like everything that's wrong with me has been huge. That's been like a really big part of my Saturn return.
That's really rad.
So yeah, so that's been really interesting, and I think it's also kind of like coming into sort of definitely kind of getting into like some sort of family dynamics around kind of like fitness and health and healthy eating, and like all of those kind of creeping towards the edge of like a very, very dark, restrictive place, and being able to kind of like reclaim something that's like the healthful benefits without cutting into kind of like the negativity of that has been really good. So that's the thing I've changed my mind about a lot recently. And then the other thing that's a lot more silly and frivolous is that I grew up under like a very big rock in terms of a lot of like pop culture stuff. And I've, you know, like I watched the Jean Cocteau 1949 black and white version of Beauty and the Beast before I ever saw like the Disney version of it, which I feel like is sort of the best landmark for that kind of thing. And I missed out on a lot of TV and pop music and that kind of stuff that I feel like a lot of my generation now are retreating into for nostalgia and comfort reasons. And I feel like for a really long time I would either kind of feel like either like very defiant and judgmental about it as kind of a defense mechanisms for like my lack, or like, oh god, I have so much catching up to do. And I think I'm kind of coming into a place of being a little bit more about like, I just have to accept that I'm kind of encountering a lot of these things from my sort of 28-year-old lens, rather than from kind of like the perspective of someone who grew up with these items and was cherishing them for those reasons, and that I just have to kind of like release myself from all of that. And it's been pretty interesting. Also.
Gross. That is literally how I feel about
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, sure.
well, okay, this is something that I don't talk about really, but
Exclusive. But like,
coming into the punk scene later has made me feel that way a lot, where it's like you all like have all these like, you know, growing up I just always felt so insecure, and I never like had my place, and I never, you know, like really fell into like what I needed until later in life. And so like being in this scene now and being surrounded by people now that grew up in this scene and have like had like these bands and these experiences and these moments of growing up in that scene, like it makes me feel like I have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I need to listen to this, I need to do that, blah, 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 you know, and it's
Right,
like, but like
right.
the exact opposite, like I was all like, you know, like into like the mainstream and like,
Right.
or just like killing my brain with drugs or something, you know, but like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting to hear the opposite of that.
I mean, I've also felt that way about punk in my life for sure, and actually something that was like really affirming when we were in Seattle going to that record store is I remember going to that specific one in 2008 when I was like coming out of kind of like my hometown does not have a punk scene at all. Everyone moves away as soon as they get into anything interesting. And going there and being like, this is where I belong, but like I don't yet, I haven't earned it as like a 17-year-old. And looking around and being like, there's a musician's wanted poster that mentions like the Spits. Yes, like nobody in my hometown is about that. And then coming back, you know, 11 years later and looking around and being like, my friend put out that record. That's my friend's band. Like, the person who's working here recognizes that I'm wearing a Clash shirt and is putting on the Mescaleros in response to that. Like, this is like my milieu now, and I'm here. And that's been like really comforting.
Thing I think nobody wants to talk about, and I think we do.
Right.
Let it be known, we talk about it. because we're all witches, is connection to spirit. And I understand the level of vulnerability involved in talking about spirit, but I wish that people felt more invited to do that. I want to connect with people in a way that's, you know, supersedes alcohol or supersedes what we're experiencing just from this particular superficial level. And I want to go deeper with people, but nobody wants to do that.
Yes. Yep. Just intuitive magic.
Yes?
Like whatever it is to you, just like whatever this energy is that like keeps us all going, and like whatever we're like putting out or receiving, like let's talk about it.
And the being with it,
together?
Being with it, yes, living it and being with it and feeling it and being able to talk about it and remember it the next day.
Yeah, and I think it's because a lot of people do have this concept, like a lot of people were raised in like different sort of like religions that may have felt oppressive to them.
Oh yeah.
And that they haven't found any sort, it doesn't even have to be like a religious thing, it's just finding your own spirituality.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And like embracing yourself and like, I don't know, I could keep going on, but it's like, I think for every different person it means something different.
Yeah.
And
I think here we can safely use the word magic.
For sure.
That is the experience of that.
Yeah.
Like, I want people to feel free to express their experience. of
playing
that.
music,
Yes.
it's magic.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Dude, like anything that you're devoting like studied attention to is magic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just on the most basic level. Yeah.
Oh, and just like coming together with this like concentration and movement and intention and creating something out of that is like truly manifesting something that a lot of people can't put into words.
Right.
You know, you go to a show and you experience something.
Right.
Why is music so popular? Why is music such a thing that like us as a society and as a human race hold on to?
Right.
It's this intangible thing that we create.
Since the beginning of time.
Yes.
I'm high.
I'm very high. I'm very high now.
I'm not high at all.
I'm high now.
I'm gonna get dark. More people should talk about trans POC being murdered.
Fuck
And
yeah.
it's something that is happening almost every day. Like, literally. That's something that is not discussed enough in the music scene, too.
Absolutely.
And I think that there needs to be more action done. I mean, there's so many dark things in the world that's happening right now, but that is something that is, like, rapid. And with the climate, that's what's going on, but there needs to be more done. I think that we can do as a community to help.
Absolutely.
that.
It's so
Provide
deep.
safety for each other for sure.
And just fucking talking about this
Oh,
shit.
yeah. It needs to be talked about a
We
lot
have to
more.
be talking about it.
Something that I think about a lot is like, I don't know, we're in some ways in a really good and really hospitable place for women making music, and like Portland historically, definitely, you know, in the 90s was sort of kind of a high point of that, and then I think at the time, especially like when Heavenli and I were first making music, we were at a real low point, and we're kind of getting back to kind of more parity and more diversity and that kind of thing, but I feel like it just went really, really quickly from kind of like, oh, this is this wonderful creative organic movement that's happening, to kind of like, this is something that's getting co-opted by, and like I'm definitely myself in this category, like middle-class white people who are being given kind of more prominence in this space, or like men who are kind of wanting to uplift like the creative efforts of women that they have relationships with or that they're attracted to, and they're kind of acting as though like the duty of being a good partner is the same thing as the duty of kind of like promoting a more inclusive scene. And you know, it's not that you shouldn't be like booking bands that are people that like are your loved ones or whatever, but it's like you kind of have to take a step back from
being
that.
like in a band as a woman and only coming to our shows because you find us attractive is the biggest insulting thing.
Yeah.
I think, and that's so common.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it's
if you
just
don't like our music, just don't come to our shows.
uplifting the people that we need to uplift.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
And I think that there can sometimes be kind of like a surface level lack of nuance in terms of, you know, like it just becomes kind of like checking off boxes in terms of like, oh, we have, you know, this number of female musicians on the stage, and that's what matters, but you're not kind of thinking about kind of like, what are the backgrounds of the people that you're including? Something that I also like, I mean, in terms of talking to like my male comrades, I think it can be really frustrating to have someone who's like, like men that I know who are survivors of sexual violence, or who are from working class backgrounds, or who have kind of trauma in their own lives, and feeling like, oh, like very privileged people who have kind of sheltered lives are being held up above them because of just kind of, oh, they check the box of being like a woman, but like maybe they've lived a life of kind of privilege and comfort and are being given kind of more value in a way that's not helpful.
Yes.
And I just think it's kind of, you know, like balance in all things in terms of who we're choosing to kind of support and throw our energy behind.
You know, it's like it's hard to like navigate these things and like figure it out, but like we've got to like you know, swing the pendulum this way so that we can have more of like a mixed, a balanced space for our future and for everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's the base of nature.
yeah.
I think that no matter what happens this way, it's going to come back this way.
Yep. Yeah.
That is where the note that we play it in. Do, do, do. No, wait. No, wait a minute. I'm wrong. I'm thinking of sisterhood. So do, do. All right, ready?
Yep.
Are you gonna sing?
Count it off. I'll do it.
All right.
Okay.
Love somewhere, summer high, country airy stairs, seeing you around makes me sick. I wish you'd leave this town behind. Think you deserve a bigger stage in which you find everything you do has to be all the you treat our friendship like a fucking race, and I'm happy to see that you lost. Sing out to the two, don't you know? And you try and laugh of anything. God, seeing you around makes me sick. Wish you'd leave this town behind.
Oh yeah.
Sing